Samantha. Today I'm going to be talking about my journey to becoming a drama teacher. A lot of times I am asked by people, how did you become a drama teacher? How did you even think about it? It's not a job that people hear a lot about in the performing arts, and a lot of people don't know exactly how one does become a theater teacher. And that's also probably because there are many different avenues. So I'm just going to talk to you about my specific journey. If you were to talk to another drama teacher, they would probably tell you something very different. And there's a lot of avenues you can take in pursuing a career as a drama teacher, which is something else that a lot of people do not know about. So I'm really excited to get into that in today's video. So just a little background on me. I grew up wanting to be a teacher at a very young age, and it actually doesn't make a lot of sense because in elementary school I was not that good at school. So I don't know why I wanted to become a teacher. I was like a fourth grader. I remember volunteering to help with the pre-Kers during recess. So I always liked younger children. I had a younger sister who was 10 years younger than me. So I just knew I wanted to work with children, and that's probably why my brain always told me I wanted to be a teacher. And then in high school, I had the thought of, hey, if I become a high school teacher, I could be the teacher that does the plays after school, because in my high school, we did not have a full-time drama teacher, so I still didn't think that was a viable option just because I didn't see it growing up. I didn't know it was a thing. So I told myself if I can just be a high school teacher of any subject, I could hope that I could also be the director of the high school shows after school, which is kind of a backwards way of thinking about your career, because I was like, oh, I need to become this so that maybe they'll let me do this, which is what I really want to do. So that should have been my first clue that I was meant to be a drama teacher specifically. But because I was really into English, I was good at English, I said, you know what, this is perfect. I'll be an English high school teacher, and it goes well with drama. We can read plays and everything, and then I can do the shows after school. So going into college, that was the goal. I was an English major, and I was a theater minor. And honestly, probably the reason I didn't look too deeply into other careers in the performing arts is because, as anyone in the arts knows, as soon as you tell people you like theater, they're like, oh, okay, that's nice as a hobby. They don't really tell you about all the amazing professional opportunities there are in the performing arts field. And there are a lot more than people talk about, which is one of my soapboxes. So because I needed to pick something more safe, I just focused in on the English, and I was like, well, I need to at least minor in theater because I love it so much. So in college, I was taking my English courses, I was taking my theater courses, and I pretty much finished the theater minor qualifications pretty early on in my college years just because I wanted to take all of those classes. And in college, you have electives that you can take, and they all have to fit into a certain category. So for example, if you have to take a history elective, in my college, history of theater was something that would fill that requirement. So I kind of did that for all of my electives. I found theater courses that would check off all the boxes, plus my minor requirements. And then I still had extra classes I could take. So literally all of my electives were theater. So I think I took more theater classes than English classes, but I wasn't following the strict major requirements for theater. I was just taking classes that I really liked, which isn't the worst thing. So I remember thinking during my English courses, I wasn't having the best time. I was getting okay grades, but it wasn't about the grades. It was more, I didn't really feel passionate about anything we were talking about, and I knew that I felt that way in the theater courses. And I was thinking about being a teacher in general, and I realized that all of my favorite high school teachers were the teachers that were so passionate about what they were teaching. It doesn't even matter the subject. It's any teacher that teaches anything is the best if they're teaching something that they loved. So I remember I was really struggling with the fear that I wasn't going to be a good English teacher because I wasn't passionate about it. And I also felt like I would be cheating my students, because if they can have a passionate teacher, why would they want a teacher that's just doing it so that they can do drama after school, if that makes any sense? So I felt that way pretty early on in my undergraduate life. So that was in sophomore year. that's when I decided to stop thinking about being an English teacher. I was like, forget this. I want to teach drama. So I still knew I wanted to be a teacher, but I knew that the only thing I was passionate about enough was drama. So I was like, I need to find a way to do this. So the first thing I did was not so much look at programs, I looked at jobs that I would want. So I was just Googling drama teacher jobs, theater teacher jobs, full-time in high schools, full-time in any schools. And I was looking at jobs that actually existed. And shockingly enough, I found a whole bunch. There were jobs at schools. There were jobs at public schools. There were jobs at private schools. There were jobs in educational nonprofit. There were teaching artist jobs in theaters. I actually found this job at a really well-renowned theater from where I'm from in Long Island, and they were looking specifically for a drama teacher to teach after school. And I was like, okay, that's a job that I would want. And I looked at the job posting and I looked at the qualifications, and it said degree in theater education. And I was like, okay, that's something that I can get. I can look for this. So I looked it up and I ended up finding a bunch of amazing graduate programs. There are also undergraduate programs that I wish I knew about when I was looking into colleges, but I don't mind. I loved getting my master's, so I would have probably wanted my master's anyway. So I don't find a problem that I waited until my master's to study what I was truly passionate about. Maybe I'll post some schools here so that if you are interested in a career in theater education, you can learn about different programs that do exist. So I was looking, I found great schools, I found a whole handful. I ended up spending my junior year of undergrad taking off weekends and just touring colleges. I went to Boston one weekend and I was touring Emerson College. I took the train to NYU. I took the train to City College. So I was taking tours. My now husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, he went to Catholic University of America, and they have a theater education program. So on one of my weekends to visit him, the director of the program actually let me sit in a theater education class, and I absolutely loved it. They were doing process drama, which I didn't even know what it was yet. But for anyone who doesn't know about process drama, it's this amazing skill where this teacher can become a character in front of their class and engage with students in order to problem solve or in order to teach them how to be in a different given circumstance. But it's just this amazing tool, and I had never seen it before, and it was so cool to see an actual graduate theater education class. And I was like, yes, I feel great. This is exactly what I want to do. So when it was time to actually apply during my senior year of undergrad, I ended up just looking into my New York schools. So I decided I wanted to stay with my boyfriend, with my family. Very lucky because there was a good amount of them in New York. So I applied to schools in the city, and then there's a program on Long Island as well where I'm from. So I was able to have a good handful of schools that I applied to. My top choice was NYU. That is because they were the first graduate program in the country for theater education. They started it in the 1960s. So I just thought that was amazing. I figured they really knew what they were doing, and if anything, all the other programs are modeling themselves after NYU, so why wouldn't you want to go to the first one? And also, I love the campus. I love that area of the city. It's in Greenwich Village, and it's just known as a really great school. But I would have been happy at any school, to be honest. I was just so excited to get into a theater education program. But then I ended up getting into NYU, which was so amazing. I absolutely loved grad school. I think in all honesty, when I look back at my whole educational career from pre-K through grad school is my absolute favorite thing I've ever done. I loved the classes. They were all amazing. I took classes on directing musicals and choreographing for musical theater. It was one of those dream experiences where you're like, wow, if I were to make classes that I wish existed, and then it was real and it was happening. and I made amazing friends, and we all still keep in touch, and we network, and we're great resources for each other. So I absolutely loved having those 2 years going to school at NYU, being immersed in the city, doing all these really, really cool things. NYU has this amazing opportunity where they take students to London on a summer, which is something that I did. I spent 3 weeks in London learning about theater education in London, which is just amazing. London is my favorite place in the whole world, so it was just so cool to have that experience. My second year of grad school, I started to look for jobs pretty early, like Christmas break. And I think it's just because I was really anxious. I really wanted to get a job. I wanted to know that all of this was for something and that I could find a job. And also, I was engaged at the time, and my fiance and I really were interested in possibly leaving New York. It wasn't something super serious. We were just talking, and we were talking about how expensive New York is and how it wouldn't be the worst thing if we moved. It might even be like a cool adventure to live in a whole different place and to just do that together and create a home somewhere new. So I didn't really think of anywhere specific. So I was applying to just jobs that excited me. I kind of stick to the same basic area of the East Coast. So I was applying to jobs in New York, Massachusetts, Maryland, and Virginia. So that's as far as I got. I was doing those states. And I applied to a whole bunch, and it's so funny because a lot of people hate applying to jobs. I love applying to jobs, even if you don't hear back, which is annoying, but I love the process of applying for jobs. I know I'm weird. I just find the whole idea of a possibility exciting, and I don't know, I always felt like I opened up a whole new world each time I applied for a job, especially those that were in different places, because it was like, oh my gosh, what if this happens? So I ended up getting an interview for the school that I'm teaching in now in Virginia, and obviously it was a Skype interview. I don't know if I would have come if they needed an in-person one, just because I would have said, oh, that's really far to just interview for one school. Maybe if it was an area where I had applied to a bunch of schools, it would be worth like a trip where I go and apply to them all. But I remember thinking, okay, I'm really glad they're willing to do a Skype interview for me. Great interview. I had an amazing time, and I like interviewing. You know, I'm a weirdo that likes interviewing and likes applying to jobs. I think it's because my theater background, just because compared to auditions, regular interviews are a complete breeze. It's like, oh, I don't have to sing. I don't have to dance. I just have to have a conversation. That's fine. So I'm totally chill with interviews, maybe sometimes too chill. I just like talking to people, and I just tell myself, hey, it's better than an audition. I'm going to just have fun with it. I'm going to act like I'm interviewing them, because you pretty much are. So that's a good way to think about it so you don't get too stressed. And afterwards, I was feeling really good and excited about it. And then I got the job offer, and I signed my contract sometime in March, I want to say, of my second year of graduate school. So I was so lucky. I had this job lined up March of my second year, and it was just such a nice feeling to be able to enjoy those last couple of months of grad school without that added pressure, because there was a lot of talk about portfolios and resumes, and it definitely was stressful for everybody, but it felt really calming to know that I was done with that part and I could just enjoy being with my friends and taking my classes and not worrying about the big job question. Something else that I think is important to note is all of my graduate school friends did find jobs, and they all found jobs where they wanted a job. So the ones that wanted to stay in New York City found jobs in New York City. The ones that wanted to go to a different state found jobs in whatever state they wanted to go to. And I just think that's really important to note, because everyone says that theater education jobs are hard. Yeah, they're hard. Obviously, you can't get a theater education job just anywhere. You need to have opportunities, and it's not like being an English teacher or a math teacher where every school has one. But there are opportunities, and we all ended up being where we wanted to be. And now here I am as an elementary school drama teacher, absolutely loving life. I feel so blessed and so lucky, because I almost might have not been here if I had not had the train of thought that I had in college, if I had not looked at certain job postings, because it is not the kind of career that people talk about enough. And maybe that's why I am so passionate about telling people because I don't want someone who might have had their dream job not, but just simply because they didn't know about it. Like I said earlier, this is just my journey. I'm sure if you talk to any and all other drama teachers, they will have a completely different path, but that was mine. You are specifically looking to be a drama teacher, definitely don't write it off right away. I'm not saying it's for everyone. I'm not saying everyone will succeed. I'm not saying everyone will love it. But I'm saying don't write it off just because someone's going to tell you, oh, a lot of schools don't have drama teachers, you're not going to find a job. Because that is just closing your whole life off from a whole possibility that could be the best decision of your life. I know it was mine. All right, friends, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.